Roughly 73 million people were born in your generation, and almost every single one of them has been told at some point that they are out of touch, too rigid, or simply a punchline in someone else's generational war. Most of them absorbed that. Most of them quietly agreed. But you didn't come here because you agree. You came here because something in you has always known that the story being told about you is not the whole story, and you are right. Because the psychology of who you actually are has nothing to do with avocado toast arguments or culture wars. It goes deeper, far deeper than any headline has ever been willing to go. You weren't always this way. There was a version of you that existed before the world handed you a label. Picture yourself somewhere in the early 1950s or early 1960s, small, watching. The television is new. The neighborhood is loud with children because there are children everywhere. Your parents came back from something enormous, a war, a depression, a silence they never quite explained to you, and you watched them rebuild. You watched them work. You watched them hold things together with pure, unremarkable discipline, and you absorbed every single bit of it without being asked to. Nobody sat you down and said, "This is how you survive." You just learned it by watching people who had no choice but to survive. That child, that watching, absorbing, quietly industrious child is still inside you, and that child shaped everything about who you became. But here's what nobody tells you. That formation wasn't accidental. Dr. Glenn Elder, the sociologist who spent decades studying how historical events shape human psychology, coined the concept of the linked lives, the idea that your development was inseparably tied to the people around you and the era you moved through. His landmark research on children of the Great Depression, later extended to boomer cohorts, showed that children who witnessed their parents navigate scarcity and chaos developed what Elder called accelerated competence, a psychological hardwiring toward responsibility, self-reliance, and the belief that effort is the only currency that matters. You didn't choose that wiring. History chose it for you. And then the world had the audacity to call it stubbornness. What you actually built in childhood was a blueprint, not a flaw, a blueprint. Your younger self drew it in pencil, quietly, while the adults around you were too busy surviving to notice. You learned that depending on yourself was safer than depending on others. You learned that complaining rarely changed anything, so you simply kept moving. You learned that love was demonstrated through action, through showing up, through providing, through doing, because the people you loved most showed you love exactly that way. And if today you find it hard to ask for help, hard to sit with vulnerability, hard to understand why the younger people in your life seem to need so much verbal reassurance, that's not a character defect. That's the blueprint talking, and it was drawn by a child who was doing their absolute best. But here's the tension you deserve to hear honestly, because you have always respected honesty. That same blueprint carries a cost. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Aging and Health found that early boomers report disproportionately high rates of what researchers call emotional suppression, the long-term practice of processing stress internally rather than externally. The CDC's data on boomer health outcomes consistently shows elevated rates of stress-related illness, cardiovascular disease, and what psychologists now recognize as chronic stoicism syndrome, the body carrying what the mind was never allowed to say out loud. You may know this feeling, not as a medical fact, but as a quiet weight you have learned to simply carry without naming, and the world never gave you a safe place to set it down. But here is where the narrative flips. Because that same emotional architecture, that capacity to carry weight without collapsing, is now being studied as one of the most remarkable psychological assets any cohort has ever demonstrated. Researchers at the Harvard Study of Adult Development, the longest-running study of human happiness in history, found that the traits most correlated with long-term resilience and meaning are not optimism, not openness, not any of the qualities your generation gets lectured about lacking. They are consistency, commitment, and the ability to remain functional under sustained pressure. You have been living those traits your entire life. What the world called rigidity, longitudinal science is now calling structural resilience, and there is a significant difference between those two things. You have been called set in your ways. You have been called resistant to change. You have been called the generation that doesn't understand. But the real word, the accurate word, is anchored. You are not someone who refuses to move. You are someone who knows what they are standing on. Anchored people don't drift with every cultural current, and they don't abandon their principles when the wind changes. They hold, and the world has always needed people who hold. So if you are someone who has spent years wondering whether your way of being in the world is somehow wrong, whether you should be softer, more expressive, more willing to perform your feelings for an audience that seems to require it, hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. The way you love is real. The way you work is real. The loyalty you carry is real. You were shaped by one of the most turbulent, expansive, complicated eras in modern history, and you came out of it intact. That is something not to apologize for. That is something to understand. So the question now isn't what's wrong with you. The question is, what do you do with a blueprint once you realize you were the one who drew it? And that answer, that's something I want to hear from you. Drop it in the comments. You already survived the hard part.